What is up in the hood, fellow stock traders, bros, hoes, and gigolos? My friends, my people, how are you guys? We got a lot to uncover, a little bit of a muted day in the stock market. It started off okay and then kind of finished pretty much okay too. So let's dig into what's happening in the stock market indices, and then let's dive into what are some plays that we could potentially play in the coming week. I think in the specific areas that we're in right now, we are in a day trading environment only, or very, very selective swing trades on extremes. But anything in the middle, I would leave alone. With the volatility the way it is in the stock market right now, dude, you don't got to be swing trading. You don't got to be staying up at 2 a.m., right, wondering what's happening with your portfolio. There's so much range out there, man. This is the boots, the coots, the butts, and the cuts, man. This is what you live for. So let's dig into what the heck is happening. So first of all, the QQQs is at, just a little bit of resistance right now. We smacked right dab, into the 20-day moving average today, and we got a little bit of a rejection there. Overall, the construct of the market still looks pretty solid. I am of the belief that we are going to be grinding up probably into these supply zones and then just chopping around for a period of time. This does not feel to me like a V-shaped type of bottom, which are very rare anyways, where besides COVID, how often do you see V-shaped bottoms without Federal Reserve interventions and things of that nature? Most likely, I think this is probably more of the play is like, we're going to pop up, pull back, and kind of grind it and then, chop around. I wouldn't be surprised for the bears to make a stand at some point and kind of take this thing back down a little bit. And then we make another higher low and we kind of bounce this thing back, all right? We could be settling into a period of chop and range, a volatile chop and range. So different than like when the Qs was over here and you were kind of just chopping around, right? It'll be volatile. It'll have shakeouts galore, double Lutsies, hanging Chads, Fugazis. These are all just, bullshit terms that I make to make myself seem smart, but they just all mean fake outs, right? I think we're in that period. Now, look, we are at a key supply spot here. We need to kind of push through this. My gut feeling is that, we get a couple chop days here, allow these MAs to catch up before we try to really attack this and kind of back and fill some of this area. The range has been good, but you just can't chase. You're not in the chasers market yet. What I mean by chasers market is, look, when the 9 EMA is over the 20, which is over the 50, which is over the 200, rising moving averages, then all dips towards moving averages get bought. Breakouts work. Overnight holds work. Everything works. You want to do pullback setups, boom, they work. You want to do breakout setups, boom, they work. You want to do cryptos, low floaters, guys, girls, donkeys, whatever. It all works, all right? But now we're into a different phase of the market. We are under the 20, the 50, the 200, and just over the 9. So we're in kind of a little bit of cross currents where you have some things working. On the short-term basis, you have a little bit of an uptrend. But on the intermediate and long-term basis, you're still in downtrend. So you have a cross current there that you have to kind of dance around. And so we're just in, for me, when that happens, I'm in just a day trading mode. I'm not looking to do swing trades. If you were going to enter the swing trades, it would have kind of had to probably be down here. Or you wait till the market starts to trend and there'll be more than enough opportunity to get into swing trades. You don't really need to swing trade minus a handful of months a year. Your job as swing traders to really capture this and to capture this and these handful of months where they do, and then you kind of stay out of the rest of it. During these phases, right here is when you will see stocks double, triple, quadruple, quintuple in volume. Like, that's when you get the speculative money, like, right, your Hims just go fucking bunkers, and, right, your Oklo, these 30 McGee's, they just start going nuts, right? That's when you want to be swing trading, when the market is doing that. In absence of that, what's the point, right? You're just, it's a giant circle jerk over here. If you're looking at the IWM too, so not a lot of participation on the IWM side. I'm trailing the other two here. Still in a deep bear market here, and really no sign of a let up on the IWM. The tech, with all this tariff news, is maybe got some green shoots, with the exceptions, but I still am of the opinion that we are in a bear market, and we are using bear market tactics, meaning, we're going to fade extreme strength still. And I think, that's going to still keep playing out here. What I mean by fade extreme strength is, like, you could see here, like today on the QQQs, like, you're just trending, right? Everything's looking great. And then, whoop, market just dumps. Then the market looks like a short for a period of time. And then what does this start to do? It starts to trail up. Those are like kind of classic kind of range trading, bear market trading tactics that you have to be aware of, right? If you see something like this PLTR has this huge gap up, right? Pulls back to the 9. Awesome setup. First pullback to 9 is a great setup. But, like, if you try to buy the breakout, then, right, you're going to get kind of rugged. And then, if you try to, short what you think might be a bear flag, it's a fake bear flag anyways, but some people would think that's a bear flag. And then you start getting caught in the grind. So just kind of be mindful of that. Look, there's a couple things that we should be mindful of, though. There's going to be some plays. 4:15, Citigroup announces earnings, right? JP Morgan has already announced their earnings, but you're starting to get into earnings season, right? Alcoa is the official kickoff. That's on the 16th, so in 2 days. So once that happens, we're going to have numerous opportunities. There's going to be stocks with PRs out every day. Hey, we're beating earnings. We're getting dusted on earnings. AI, CapEx, this, that. All of this stuff starts to go, and then we're going to have some plays. And we'll get an acute understanding of really the structure of how supply and demand is working in the markets, because if we get good earnings and gap ups and they start fading off, then the price action is telling us that the players are using these gaps as liquidity, even on good earnings. They don't feel good about the market and they're fading off, right? In a hot market, you gap up 10% and then you just grind higher the rest of the day. In a shit market, you'll gap up, 8 to 10% and then you'll reverse most of the gap as people use as a liquidity event. So this will give us a little bit of a clue. So we just got a couple days, and then things are going to speed up a little bit, right? Maybe not in the general indexes, but you're going to see stocks. You're going to see the next market leaders emerge, and that's when we'll have some fun. So for tomorrow, look, we're not doing anything sexy here, right? I think you stick with just kind of the big boys here. I've got still Palantir on watch. I think Hims here is at an interesting location if, some of these mid caps ever get bought up. You got MSTR here at a trend line break. I believe, the old school trading books, they used to call it the wedgie, but, it's just like a little coil pattern. It's got a good spot. Some of these plays like AMD, I'm watching the first dip on these, if they make a higher low, and then we'll see if these are kind of W patterns. I find in these bear markets, when you have the breakdown set up and then you remount the breakdown, so it's a failed breakdown, that's the buy spot. That's usually the buy spot, at least for confirmation purposes. That's usually the buy spot versus, trying to time maybe some of the extremes. So just kind of keep mind of that. I think that's a potential. Coin's got a similar look, right? You just got a little bit of a W pattern. Let's see if it breaks this range here, or if you get the first pull and you make a higher low. I think that could be something. This SLH is a relative strength play, but not really giving us much movement just yet, but something to keep an eye on. TSM is another one here, right? You just got yourself, the first half of the W's setting up here, and let's see how this starts to, take out those ranges, and I think we're going to be in for a little bit of fun. And then, I got CAVA here also for a range break at, basically about 92, give or take. It needs to tighten up here a little bit, but it's got an overall good look to it. You don't have earnings for, another month, so just be mindful. Guys, there's not supposed to be any good-looking stocks right now. You're in a bear market, so just be mindful that, you're going to flip through stocks. You're going to flip through a lot of charts. I'm in bootcamp class right now, and a lot of my students are probably running scans going what the fuck? There's no good-looking stocks. It's supposed to be like that. But, there's some awesome stuff happening. Like IPOs are working again, right? After Newsmax, we had the Webull come out. Dude, this thing, huge, right? Monster. All day was all over this in our chat room today, calling this from the opening tick that it was going to explode. A fantastic job by him. 36 million shares in volume. I think this will be in play for a little bit. It's a bloated market cap now. You're probably at about 30 billion, maybe even a little bit higher. But, this is a good thing. You want to see this. I'm not chasing this thing up here, but I like to see this. I like to see this Newsmax. I want to see the speculation go into the market. SPACs are coming back, man, after Chamath, my boy. Man, brown on brown crime by Chamath. Right? Pumping all those SPACs to all us Indians. But, the SPACs are coming back after the Chamath aftermath. And by the way, he's Sri Lankan, so not even a real Indian. But, we take credit for him when he does good. And then, we kick him back when he does not so good. That's just the way the Indian people are. You know how it goes. But let's keep an eye on any new IPOs that are coming out. I'll keep the wires open in the chat room and stuff like that. And we'll go have some fun. Guys, trade safe. Like I said, a shit and short watch list. Shit and short watch list. But, things are starting to peek through. You can see here, you got, starting to build out. The market needs to chop around to build, better bases, right? We have no stocks with, really good bases. And that's usually the launch pad of most stocks, right? And so till that happens, we're just basically kind of trading between supply and demand levels and, essentially the extremes on market news till we start to build out some bases, till we remount and all the moving averages start to curl up. That's all you can do right now. So, guys, let me know if you have any questions. I love you guys. Peace. Ooh. Guys, look at this bad boy here, too. Add this one, and maybe even this USAR. I think both of these... dude, I just brain farted for a second. I was looking through some stuff. Both of these look like they could be something. So, let me know if that helps. I love you guys. Peace.